about to do a job, washing some windows, and prevention's the big key here with like using the Trochanter Belt. So like even though I feel like just really slight, like SI joint pain down in my back, I'm gonna wear this today. When I'm moving around. The difference between like a lumbar support and a trochanter support is usually with lumbar support you're still gonna get atrophy of those lower back muscles, those erector spinae muscles, which are already pretty atrophied on most of the patients I work on. What I feel is a lot of dominance above the lumbars and those thoracic spine extenders are kind of like right on the back of your diaphragm area. Those are pretty dominant, and those kind of is where that hinging is happening a lot. When people are bending is right below those. So those are the muscles that are using, and then those erector spine, you're just not allowed to do their job, which is to more open up those joints, keep your spine from bending. When you're lifting up objects, you're bending down, and all that comes down to the hip hinge. That's where it comes full circle. That's where the breakdown usually comes from, is the inability to hinge the hips. Usually we're abusing the knees, you're bending them too much. So you're like a good deadlifter, what do they say? Don't let your knees past your toes. So when you're lifting boxes, you're probably going to notice, oh man, my knees are going way past my toes. So there's a lot of pressure on your knees, a lot of pressure on your low back still, even though you're bending your knees. But like I'm lifting properly here all the time. What the trochanter belts do, the trochanter, what is that? It's actually that part of your femur that's right on the outside of that ball socket joint. It's going into your pelvis. So what this does is it kind of compresses that in the socket a little bit better, and it holds your sacroiliac joint together. But there's not supposed to be as much opening that sacroiliac joint when we're bending. It has a little bit. It's like 2 degrees of motion. I mean, it's way too much in our culture. The motion is supposed to be starting from those hip joints. But they can't, because they're usually turned out, so they're just kind of locked in that socket. They can't go anymore, and then the bending happens at the spine and the sacroiliac joints, and it's abused motion. Over time, it's going to bother. It's not going to happen right away. But it's just that slight irritation just from sitting, dominant hamstrings, it comes from all that kind of stuff. Just retraining ourselves to move better is the fix. So that belt's going to help pull those into the socket a little bit better, so they're able to move more in the socket. So you're going to get more hip motion when you're bending with the belt. So it's going to help do that. So it's not going to work against you. All the studies that I've seen of trochanter belts is, they don't have like years later even more disc problems happening. It's the opposite. You'll see with the studies on the low back support, which shows that you gotta get away from that low back support. It's good for a little bit, that lumbar support, but eventually more disc injuries are going to happen, arthritis is going to happen, degeneration is going to happen, because the areas just become weak. It's being supported. It's like arch support. You wear arch support all the time, but if you don't actually strengthen your feet, you've gone nowhere. And a lot of times that support just, like if I'm supporting you all the time and I'm just helping you all the time, in life, I always bring things back to like moral lessons or whatever, parenting, and you're always helping your kid, letting them, instead of letting them do it on their own, they're just going to get weak and they're not going to survive when the trials actually come, because they've just been supported all this time. They've never actually had any time to strengthen, emotionally and mentally and as well as physically, and so just bringing that tie in there. So I'm going to wear this belt today. I'm going to, I got here early, so I'm like, why don't I talk about why I'm going to wear this belt? A lot of people like who sprain their sacroiliac joint, I'm put this belt on, and then it's like, all right, the sprain's gone, I'm not going to wear it anymore. I'm like, you still wearing that belt when you're walking? Just give it an hour a day or something when you're off doing something. Just kind of retrain you. Anytime you feel any type of something's like slightly off, get in the chiropractor, get your belt back on. All right. Keep checking out the spinal stability class videos. We'll keep pumping those out. That all goes back to that hip hinging, retraining your body to do that. We can talk about the belt all day. But the belt is just a tool. It's not going to fix anything. It's retraining your body to move right that's going to fix it. The belt can help you, support you with right movement patterns, but only you and your brain and learning how to do it is going to make the fix. This car's getting really hot, so I'm going to turn it back on, listen to some Greta Van Fleet, Led Zeppelin wannabes.